Alright, technical maintenance, operator unit, intermediate, direct support, intermediate, general support, maintenance manual for engine, diesel, Cummins model NTA 855L4 NSN 281501216093 Alright, lubricating fuel coolant. The function for lubricating oil with the Cummins engine must be multifunctional and must be performed. The primary function of the lubrication is provided by the film between the moving the parts with reduced wear of the friction, cooling and surface of the heat transfer the media to carry out the heat away with the critical area of the sealing, the filling with uneven surfaces with the cylinder wall valve, the stems and turbocharger oil seals, cleaning, holding the contaminants suspension to prevent the buildup of the deposits on surface engine. In addition, the most also provide dampening and cushion component with the operate with the high stress switch gears and push tubes, protection for the oxidation, corrosion, hydraulic action. And for the comparison of jig up the brakes and the hydraulic controls, an engine lubricating the oil must be changed with no longer than perform the functions within the engine. The oil does not wear out because it comes contained within the contaminated to the point where it can no longer be satisfactory to protect the engine. Contamination with the oil is normal result of the engine operation. During the engine operation, a wide variety of the contaminants are introduced to the oil. Some of these are byproduct of the engine combustion: asphaltness, soot and acids, partially burned fuel, acid, varnish, sludge, where formed with the result of the oxidation. Oil breaks down when it decomposes. Alright, dirt when dirt entering the engine through a combustion air or fuel while adding the changing of lubricating oil must have an additive package to combat these contaminants. The package generally consists of the detergent dispersements, which keep the insoluble matter in the suspension until they are filtered with the oil and are removed with the oil change. This prevents sludge and carbon deposits from forming in the engine. Inhibitors maintain stability of the oil and prevent acids from attacking metal surfaces to prevent rust during the period when the engine is not operating. Overall, other additive of the engine oil lubricating high load with the areas that prevent sloughing and seizing, control foaming, preventing air and retention into the oil. Alright, oil performance classification standards. The API, or American Petroleum Institute, the American Society of Testing Material, or ASTM, Society of Automotive Engineers, ASAE, have joined developing and maintain a system of the classifying lubricating oil with the performance category. The following are a brief description of the American Petroleum Institute category for the Cummins oil performance recommendations. RCC equivalent of MIL L2104B with a category to describe the oil meeting the requirement of the MIL to specification MIL L214B. The oil provides lower temperature protection for the sludge and rust, designed to perform moderately well with a high temperature and perform moderate duty services. CD equivalent of Series 3 with the MIL L45199B with a category to describe the oil meeting the requirement of the Series 3 specification MIL L45199B. These oils provide protection from the deposit oxidation, high temperature for severe duty services. SC equivalent of 1964 MS oil for the category to describe the oil meeting with the 1964 to 1967 requirement for the automobile manufacturers, primarily for the use of automobiles to provide low temperature, anti-sludge, anti-rusting protection required for the light duty diesel services such as stop and go operations. The SA equivalent of 1968, 1977, 71 MS oil for the category to describe the oil meeting with the 1964 1967 requirements of automobile manufacturers, primarily for the use of automobiles to provide low temperature, anti-sludge, anti-rust protection required for the light duty diesel with the stop and go operation may be substituted with the SC category. The SC category equivalent of 1972 MS oil for the category describes oil meeting for the 1972 requirement of the automobile manufacturer, primarily for the use of automobiles, provides protection for the high temperature oxidation, low temperature for the anti-sludge and anti-rust required for the light-duty diesel service, such as stop-and-go operation, and may be substituted with the SC category. RCB, not an equivalent specification. The oil will be used referred to as Supplement 1 oil for the category to describe the oil which meets the requirement of the military specification MIL L2104A, where the diesel engine test running with using the fuel with a high sulfur content for the moderate duty for the surface oil in the performance category should not be used with the Cummins engines. The Engine Manufacturer Association publishes the book entitled Lubricating Oil Data Book for the copy for the Purchase Engine Manufacturer Association. 11E Walker Drive Challenge Chicago 3 CO6 60601. The book lists commercially available oils and oil company brand name with the American Petroleum Institute performance categories, but met by each brand. Okay, oil performance recommendation. Cummins engine does not recommend it for the use of any special brand with the engine lubricating oil. But the Cummins recommended for the use of the oil designed to meet the following American Petroleum Institute categories: CC for use of natural aspirated engines, CC and CD for the turbocharged engines. C and SC for the use of the engines operating with the 3.2 light-duty services, including the standby and emergency operation. Dual categories used for the more protection was required with providing single category CC and CD and CC and SC. Categories include the oil blending with the meeting with the performance level required by each of the single category. Sulfated is limited, has been placed with lubricating oil for the use of the Cummins engine. For the past experience has shown that the oil with a high ash content may be produced as disposed. Deposit on the valve with the game progress with the guttering and valve burning. Maximum sulfated ash content of 1.85 masses per cent, and recommended for all use for the Cummins engines except for the engine fuel with the natural gas. For natural gas engines, the sulfated ash range for the 300s over the 8500s mass percent is recommended. For the Cummins Engines Company Incorporated does not recommend ashless oil and natural gas engines, which when ash content is between 1,500 of the mass percent of the ash should represent the organometallic anti-wear additives. Break-in oils. Special break-in lubricating oils are not recommended for the new or rebuilt Cummins engines. The use of the same lubricating oils used for the new normal engine operation. Viscosity. Viscosity for any of the oil measured for the resistance of the flow. The Society of Automotive Engineers has classified the engine into the viscosity grade with the table 3.1 show the viscosity range of the grades oil with the meat of the low temperature of 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Requirement to carry the grade design with the W suffix of the oil that meet the both low and high temperature requirements refer to the multi-grade viscosity grade oils. Multi-grade oils are generally produced by adding the viscosity index to improve the additives, retarded thinning, and affects the low viscosity base oil while experiencing an engine operation. Multi-grade oil for the meet the requirements for the American Petroleum Institute classifications were recommended for the use for the Cummins engines. Cummins recommended for the use of multi-grade lubricating oil with viscosity grade from the table 3.2. The table 3.2 shows the Cummins viscosity grade recommendation varies ambient temperature. The only viscosity grades recommended are those shown in the table. Cummins have found the use of the multi-grade lubrication oils improve the oil consumption control, improve the engine control, cranking cold condition while maintaining lubricating high oil temperatures may contribute to improved consumption. Humans do not recommend a single-grade lubricating oil, but in the event of the recommendation, multi-grade oil that is unavailable to single-grade oils may be substituted. Are the primary criteria for the selection of an oil viscosity grade with the lowest temperature oil will experience for the engine oil sump bearing the problems recovered with the lack of the lubrication during the cranking, starting with a cold engine while the oil being used with the viscosity flow properly. Change the low viscosity grade of oil if the temperature of the oil of the engine and oil sump reaches the lower end of the range as shown in Table 3.2. Table 3.1 shows the SA viscosity number of lubricating oils, the SAK viscosity grade, the multi-Pascal seconds, maximum multi-2-second millimeters second squared, or centi-stroke, minimum and maximum. 3.2 shows the Cummins recommendation viscosity ambient temperature, the SA viscosity grade, the ambient temperature, and 3.3 shows the alternate oil grades. Synthetic lubricating oil. Synthetic oil for the diesel engine are primarily blended with the synthesized hydrocarbon each ester for the base for the oil with the manufactured chemically reacting low molecular weight material to produce lubricating that has been played with the predictable properties. Synthetic oil is developed with the use of extreme environmental where the ambient temperatures may be as low as negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Extremely high engine temperatures up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Under these conditions, petroleum-based stock lubrications do not perform satisfactory. Cummins Engines Company with the recommended synthetic oil for the use for the Cummins engines operating within areas the ambient temperature is consistently lower than 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Synthetic lubricating oils may be used at higher ambient temperatures provided with the meet of the appropriate API services category for the viscosity grade. Cummins engines and recommendations of the same oil change in intervals followed by the synthetic lubricating oil as for the petroleum-based lubricating oil. Arctic operation for the engine operating with an area for the ambient temperature consumes in below negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit. Then there was no provision to keep the engine warm. The way it is not properly lubricating oil should meet the requirements of the following table. The oil meetings requirements used for the synthetic-based stocks, the SA5W viscosity grade synthetic oils. Alright, you have your parameter test method specification, performance, API classification, CC, SC, quality level, the API's classification, CC, CD, viscosity, 10,000 milliliters per Pascal, maximum at 31 degrees Fahrenheit, 41 millimeters, 2 or centi-stroke, minimum at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Pour point, minimum of 9 degrees Fahrenheit below the lowest expected ambient temperature. Sulfided ash is 1.85% of the weight of the maximum. May be provided with meet the minimum viscosity requirement as 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Our Cummins Engine Company recommends the use Recommends use for the grease mating of the specification metal G with the 3545 with excluding with the sodium soap thickness for the contact lubricating supplier with the grease mating of these specifications test high temperature performance dropping point of Fahrenheit ASTM D2265 3,150 minimum beat bearing life with hours for 300 degrees Fahrenheit FTM 3311 10,000 RPM 600 minimum low temperature property for the ASTM D 1478 with a torque GCM starting at 0 degrees Fahrenheit 15,000 max running at 0 degrees Fahrenheit 5,000 max rust protection wear water resistance rust test ATSM D 1743 pass water resistance ATSM D 126420 max. Stability FTM oil separation percentage of the FTM 321 the 300 hours at 212 degrees Fahrenheit 5 max. Penetration work to ASTM D 217 250 250 and 300 bottom test PSI drop 100 hours into 500 hours ACSM D 942 10 max 25 max for 500 hours. Copper corrosion FTM 5309 pass. Dirt count particles FTM 3005 25 microns plus of the 5,000 max, 75 microns plus 1,000 max, 125 microns none. Federal test method, the rub swell, the FTM 3603 10 max. Federal test method standard number to 791A. Caution: do not mix brands with the grease. Damage to the bearings may result, except if the lubrication is harmful to the inadequate lubrication. After the lubricating fan head, replace both the pipe with plugs using the fittings to allow the lubricating to be thrown out due to the road rate of speed. Cummins and diesel engine have been developed to take advantage of the high energy generally with a lower cost. Number 2, the diesel fuels experience have shown that Cummins diesel engine will also operate satisfactory. Number 1, other fuels with the following specification: viscosity center at 1.3 to 5.8 cent strokes. Centene number 40 minimum except for the cold weather and for the prolonged low loads. Higher centene number is desirable. Sulfur content not exceeding 1% of the weight. Water sediment not exceeding 1/10 of the weight. By weight, carbon residue not exceeding 25 hundredths of the percent by weight with a 10% residue. 8 flash point, 125 degrees minimum. Certain marine registers require higher flash point density, 330 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. API at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Cloud point cloud point 10 degrees Fahrenheit below the lowest temperature expected to operate. Active sulfur, copper not exceeding number 2 rating. Strip corrosion after 3 hours at least 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Ash not exceeding 200th of the percent, and by weight. Distillation curve should be smooth and continuous for at least 10% of the fuel should evaporate with a 680 degrees Fahrenheit. All the fuel should be evaporated less than 720 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, coolant. Water should be clean with the cleaning with the corrosive chemical with the chloride, sulfite, acid should be kept with the slightly declined with the pH value range for the 8.5 to 10.5. Any water suitable to drinking can be treated with the described in the following paragraph for the use of the engine. Maintain the fleet guard DCA water filter on the engine with the filter bypass with a small amount of the coolant system with the layer with the filtering treating element, which must be replaced periodically. In summer, no antifreeze fill system in the water with the winter with the select antifreeze with the use for the water as required in temperature. Sometimes antifreeze can also contain anti-leak additives such as the inorganic fibers of polyparticle with ginger root. The type of the antifreezing should not be used in conjunction with the water filter. The filter element and the filter out of the additives become clogged and ineffective. Install the replaced DCA water filter as filed with the recommendation section 2. And new engines going into the surface equipped with the DCA water filter to new engine ship with the Cummins engines company with equipped with the water filters containing the DCA pre-charged element with this element compatible with the plain water of all. Permanent type of the antifreeze except for the methoxypropanol, the mexoxypropanol, and pre-charge instruction. After the first B check for the oil change period of the DCA per change element should be changed to the DCA surface element. See table 3.5. Replace the DCA surface element each for the succeeding B check. If the make of the coolant must be added between the element change for the use of the coolant pre-treated supply with makeup of the coolant specification section 2 each for the time it's drained for the per change charge per coolant specification table 3.5. The surface element may be changed with a C check for the 33008585 85 8. DCA4L, direct chemical additive to the cooling system at each of the check between the surface element and change with one bottle of the direct should be used for every 10 gallons of the cooling system capacity and one bottle for every 15 gallons of the capacity of the methoxyl propanol antifreeze for the cooling system. To ensure adequate corrosion protection from the half of the coolant, check with any third element change with the more often checking engine coolant section 2. Table 3.5 spin-on type the DC water filter, the cooling system capacity of the gallons, US gallons, ethanol, glycol, base, antifreeze, pre-charge, and surface elements, methanol, methoxy, propanol, base, antifreeze, DCA for the L, pre-charge, surface elements. Our cap screws, markings, and torque values, minimum tensile strength, strength PSI, MPa, match U, the 1/2 to 69,000, 3/4 to 64,000, 1 and 55,000. Also minimum tensile size, much U, 3/4 to 120,000, 5/8 to 140,000, 15,000 for the usage at times. Strength in PSI, 3/4 to 64,000, 1 and 152, much U, the 1 and 115,000. 3/4 to 133,000 to mass pascals, 1 to 55,000. Alright, quality material intermediate, minimum commercial, medium commercial, best commercial, SA grade number to 1, 2, most U 5, minimum commercial, minimum maximum, medium commercial 6, 7, best commercial 8. Cap screws manufacturer marks and make vary. They are all SA grade 3, grade 5 3 line. Alright, 5 3 line. 6 and 7, cap screw body sizes and torque, foot-pounds, and foot-pounds. Troubleshooting is organized the study of the problem, and plan methods, the procedure of investigation, correction for the difficulty chart of the following page, include some of the problems that an operator encountered during the service of the life of the Cummins diesel engine. The chart does not give all the answers correction of the problems that must be met with the simulate the train with the thought and indicate the work pressure direct toward the search for the source for the trouble to use the troubleshooting chart for the complaint. At the top of the chart, the following data for the column you can be coming in blacked out, refer to the left of the dot and possible cause. Thinking about an action study of the problem thoroughly ask these questions. One of the warning signs perceived for trouble when the previous repair and maintenance work has been done. Has similar trouble occurred before? If the engine still runs, if the safes continue the run to make the future checks. Do the easiest things first. The most of the trouble, simple, easiest, corrected. The second example, the lower of complaints caused by loose throttle linkage and dirty fuel filters. Excessive lube and oil consumption can also be leak, gas connection, etc. Also check the easiest of the obvious thing. Following the simple rule will save the time and trouble to double check before beginning with the assembly operations. Source for most of the engine trouble can be traced not only to one part of the relationship but one part of another. For the instance, exclusive fuel consumption may be due to the incorrect adjustable fuel pump instead of the clogged air cleaner with the possibility of restricted exhaust egg passage causing excessive back pressure to often engines with a complete with the disassembled and search for the cause of the certain complaint with the evidence destroyed, burning the disassembly operation. Check the again to be sure any easy solution for the problem has not been overlooked. Find and correct the basic for the cause of the trouble. Every mechanical failure has corrected to be sure to locate and correct the cause of the trouble so the failure will not be repeated. Complaint with the sticking of the injector plungers is corrected, replacing the faulty injector. Some of the cause of the plungers of the sticking the cause may be properly injectors adjustment, more often water and fuel. Tools and procedure to correct in a complaint. The tool procedure for the correct of the complaint found with the troubleshooting sections are found available in Cummins distributed to dealers, and the list of the publication bulletin numbers include the back of the manual with inform of the purchase order. The list includes all engine model shop, engine repair, rebuild manuals, AFC fuel pump adjustments. The AFC fuel pump adjustment is specified for the calibration fuel pump test and not to made with the engine contact the nearest authorized Cummins distributor to perform maintenance if required. Our trouble Cummins engines, air system, restricted air intake, the highest high exhaust back pressure air, the hot weather and high altitude air leaks between cleaner engine and dirty turbocharged compressor, improper use of the start and aid temperatures, fuel system suck drain valve, the out of fuel shutoff valve closed, poor quality fuel, grade of fuel, air leaks and suction lines, restricted fuel lines, external internal fuel leaks, the plunger inspector spray hose, projector fuel pump drive shaft, the scourge gear pump, the worn gear, the worn injector caliper, the Cranked injector for the body of a cup with the damaged injector O-ring that sets with the injector check valve leakage, throttle linkage adjustment incorrectly assembled the idle spring incorrectly assembled the governor weights in high-speed governing set too low, water in the fuel was waxing AFC calibration incorrect, damage worn AFC plunger or seat or barrel, fuel pump calibration incorrect, injector flow incorrect, plugged ASA AFC air leak of the back bellows, ASA reverse flow with the valve stuck open, lubricating external internal oil leaks, dirty oil filter, faulty cylinder oil control, clogged oil drillings, oil suction lines, restriction, faulty oil, pressure regulator, crankcase low or out of oil, wrong grade of the oil for weather conditions, oil levels at high. Cooling system, insufficient cooling, worn pump, faulty, and the thermostat, damaged hose and loose belts, the radiator shutter for the stuck open, the internal water leaks, the clogged oil cooler, water passage, exterior leakage, the air and system, cooler capacity, dirty radiator, coolant temperature low, oil operation maintenance practices, dirty filter, screen, breather with long idle period of the engine, overload, in oil needs, changing an engine, exterior dirt. Mechanical adjuster repair. Gasket blown by the leakage of the faulty damp of the flywheel balance, the valve with the leakage adjustment bad, broken or worn bad piston rings, incorrect bearing clearance, the excessive crankshaft, end clearance, the broken cam lobe, the main rearing bore out of the alignment engine due to the overhaul damage made with the rod bearings and gear trains, backlash, broken bolt tooth, misalignment engine driven out with loose bolting head for the cap screw, incorrect valve with the injection time, worn screw, scored liner pistons, and injectors need adjustment, broken bent and push rods and cam boxes. Mechanical variable timing test, faulty rail pressure switch open, faulty rail pressure switch closed, faulty solenoid or damaged piston back seal with insufficient torque, actuator pap screw, solenoid orifice plug, system stick in the retard, broken disconnection, MVT wire, loose cam follower should be eccentric, system stuck in advanced maintenance, plugged air line with the MVT actuator plug exhaust from the MVT actuator. Alright, your index, this is your index 1, index 2. We've read those. Part 2, repair. A.